You
Yep.
tweeted out, and I've just taken a screenshot, so I'm not sure how long ago it was. Shelley Luther is a true American hero, and
Yeah.
people who don't know the story, Shelley Luther had a salon who had people working for her. She reopened amongst a lockdown level she wasn't supposed to. The judge said to her, basically, if you apologise for it, then we'll not have any, no punishment, so to speak. She refused to, so she got 7 days in jail. I see that as actually a failing of government because other Western countries are providing an amount for the workers so they can feed their kids during this time, whether it means they do need to borrow or they don't need to borrow. So this is probably an example that I see, without being honest, without knowing 100% of all the facts, but following it two or three times in two or three different news sources. That seems that's a place where government should step in, make those people safe, supply money to those workers to be able to feed their kids, and then it wouldn't even be a question to be in the courtroom talking to the judge.
So yeah, so we're back to the good government thing, which is, yeah, I'm with you. If the government's going to tell people you can't go to work, then the government better figure out a way to make sure that people's kids aren't going hungry, which is exactly what Shelley Luther said. That tweet actually was from this morning. So the
Oh,
trial,
okay.
the court appearance was this morning, and you know what she decided to do was she was going to make sure everyone wore masks. She was very clear about what the hygiene procedures were going to be.
Yep.
She was going to make sure people were social distancing. She was putting in place all of the policies that anyone would want her to put in. And let's also keep in mind that she's a small businesswoman. She's, as she said, trying to feed her kids and
Yep.
her stylists. She's trying to make sure they can feed theirs. But you know, we've done this weird thing where big businesses have allowed to remain open. So Target and Walmart are giant stores. You can go to the giant stores and it's not a problem. But we've closed down small businesses that in many cases do the same thing as the big businesses. They just do it as a mom and pop operation. That strikes me as deeply unfair. So here was a woman who tried to take her destiny in her hands and say, I have to reopen because I haven't been provided with what I need to provide for my family. So I'm going to do it responsibly. She laid out a video where she showed exactly how she was going to deal with the hygienic stuff and all that. And in my estimation, the idea that they're going to put her in jail, or even that the judge said to her, you have to apologize for this. I thought the reason I said she's a true American hero is her response to the judge was, I will not apologize for trying to put food on my kid's table and my employees' kids' table. And I thought that was very much within the American spirit.
Is it very much a first world Western problem? People would say, first world problem. That often, wherever people sit politically or wherever they sit in society, they may be very pro law and order, pro police, pro laws and rules until they affect them. Because I hear what you're saying, and possibly that's all fine. The flip side to that same conversation is if someone had to come through that salon and caught coronavirus and died because of it, then actually that would be on their hands as well, her hands as well. And so maybe making the decision, which feels really difficult and really hard to keep people safer, is more important than the financial one, which again, I guess brings me back to, so like here in New Zealand, businesses can apply for, I think it's 80% of the wages of their employees subsidy, and the government will pay that whilst the lockdown's on. That seems to be good government.
Yeah. So again, if you're going to tell people they can't work, I believe good government would provide them sustenance so that they would be okay. As to your question related to if someone had then gotten coronavirus there, well, first she laid out the plans that she was going to do. I'm not an insurance expert, so I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what would have been covered or who would have been covered or the liability related to that. You'd have to talk to a very specific type of lawyer because obviously a lot of this is unfolding right now. But I just can't fault somebody for trying to open their business in a difficult time when they're trying to feed their kids. I just can't do it. I think you cannot get perfect security. And if you trade your liberty for it, you will lose both.